Welcome back to the Take a Chance on You podcast, hosted by me, Alexandra Forsyth. Today, I am so excited to be passing the mic to Jennifer Doty, who has a portfolio career. She's building businesses, she's doing speaking engagements, she's helping people to get unstuck in their careers. Jennifer, how are you doing?
So well. Thank you so much for having me on today, Alexandra. It's so great to be here.
So do you want to give the listeners a little bit of an introduction to who you are and what you get up to?
Sure. Happy to. Yeah. So my career started many years ago in public accounting. I'm an accountant by background, and I went into accounting not because I was super passionate about it, but because it came easy to me. And I knew growing up, I was the oldest of 4 daughters. And my parents said, do us a favor. Can you go to school and get a good job and don't come back? Because we have 3 more of you to figure out. And so that was really why I picked accounting. I did public accounting in Los Angeles for Deloitte and Touche for over 3 years, got certified, got out of there because there was sort of like a pecking order of what you were allowed to do and how fast you were allowed to grow in those days. And I did a couple different startups in the finance space. And then ultimately I got myself back to New Jersey and I started a career with MetLife. Ultimately, it was something I wanted to do to get myself. I was in Boston at the time. I wanted to get relocated to New Jersey to be closer to family. And I thought it would be like a 1 to 2 year career, gig. And then I'd find something else. And lo and behold, I was there almost 20 years, right? So absolutely crazy. I don't think anyone grows up as a small child and says, let's go into group insurance. But that's what happened to me. And I was able to reinvent myself probably 9+ times over. I had some strategy roles with some senior executives, like a chief of staff type role with some senior leaders in the C-suite. And I was in 2 different lines of business with an amazing senior leader. And we used to say that when you fly that close to the flame of a Fortune 100 company, you learn a lot, Alexandra. You learn a lot about how you want to lead when you grow up and a lot about how you don't. And so I took all of that great wisdom and guidance with me. And then ultimately I was asked to take a role, and I call it the first role I ever had where I led with zero expertise. And they asked me to lead the IT integration of a large acquisition that we were doing. And I remember almost falling out of my chair because I said to the leader in IT, I can call the help desk and I can turn on this laptop. And that's about the extent of my IT knowledge, right? And I soon learned really quickly that my role in that position was to really bring people together, bridge conversations. There were 25 integration teams. There was one IT team and the rest of the teams were business teams. And so they didn't speak technology. And the technologists, some were great at it. Others had opportunities in like how to speak business, right? And so I was really there as a translator to make sure we were all running in the same direction. We could all make sure we got our deliverables met and succeed at our goals. And once I took that job, where I'll never forget, I was like, boy, if I can do this, I can do anything. I never looked back. And there's never been a role that I've shied away from because I wasn't an expert in that space, right? And so from there, I went on to continue my career for the last 10 years at MetLife in the group insurance space. So I rolled out products. I had marketing responsibilities. Again, I'm not a marketer, but right, when you learn what are the right questions to ask, how do you build the right network around you to figure out how to get, answers to your questions and move things forward, I found that I could be really successful in things I knew nothing about. And then ultimately I ran all of group benefit operations for the US towards the end of my career. So I had over 1,400 people reporting to me, not just in the US, but also in India. And we also went through COVID, right? So we took 1,400 people and over a weekend, everybody was home after we had been used to going into an office every single day. And I'm proud to say we had one of our best years ever from a metric standpoint and had to dodge all of these bullets for so many great things the company was doing for employees and for people who had insurance where they weren't using it at the time because we were all at home, right? And so then fast forward, middle of 2021, I received the phone call that I had delivered many, many times prior, which was, thank you so much. Your role's being eliminated. It will help you transition on to the next thing. And so I really needed to do some soul searching, Alexandra, because if you had asked me 15 years ago, who is Jennifer Doty? The very first thing I would have answered was my title. And so that was truly my identity. And it was all I really knew because I was very proud of everything I had done and all of my accomplishments. Yet I really needed to get underneath who was I? Who was I becoming? And most importantly, what did I want to do next? What were some of the must haves? What were the nice to haves? What were the icings on the cake of things I wanted? And I landed on I wanted to do great work with great people. And so recruiters hated that because they're like, we don't know what to do with you. And I said, well, I'm a Swiss Army knife. They're like, not helpful. Like we have to pick a thing and then, decide where there's opportunities for you. There was no such thing as a network online in those days. Recruiters would take your resume and shop you to people. And that's not what happens in this day and age. So I really had a lot of work to do. I wrote 2 books about leadership in the meantime. And then ultimately I landed here at 3Flow, which is an amazing company. I've been here for 4 years. It's technology placement system. So it's a platform for group insurance brokers and carriers to more effectively exchange data for quoting and rating. And so I've leveraged my expertise. I led the carrier relationships. And now for over 2 years, I've led their operations team because I find when you're in operations, you're a glutton for punishment. And they're always like, it always kind of brings you back, right? Like the fly to the flame. You're always coming back to help improve processes and workflows. For me, what I found was I continued to have this calling that I was meant to do more. And I didn't know what that meant. But I'm like, this is great. And I'm really meant to do more than this. And so what came into my life, crazy enough, 9 years ago was a company called Live Pure. And I had started taking their supplements and nutrition 9 years ago because I was newly divorced. I had a lot going on. I had a huge job at MetLife, and I really wanted to improve my health. I wasn't sleeping through the night. My digestive system was all over the place. I needed a nap every day at 3:00. And so I started on this nutrition 9 years ago. And I signed up to be a business, distributor, right? It's network marketing, but I didn't do anything with it because I had a lot going on in my life, right? So fast forward a little over a year ago, I woke up and said, well, what if I tried to get these products paid for? How hard could it be? It's about $150 a month. My kids are in college. They all take it. I take it. And lo and behold, not only did I pay for my products that month, but I paid for my monthly mortgage payment on my home that very same month. And I've done it every month since with this business and created a significant income stream on the side of my desk that is upwards of 5 figures a year within the first year of doing this. And I said, well, this is awesome. I have really gotten excited about not only sharing into the health side of this and why it's beneficial to people, but also we know it's really wise, especially right now in this day and age, to have another additional income stream. You never know what's going to happen with your day job. You never know what's going to happen with your health or your partner's health or your family's health. And so it's always smart to just have an additional stream of income. And so I have been on a mission to find more people who might be interested in doing something like this with me and or helping inspire and motivate them to find that other thing. I'm 52 years old. I often think, is this all it was supposed to be? You worked so hard through your 20s and your 30s, and you're like, I'm in my 40s. I'm starting to get there. This isn't as hard. And I'm like, this is it. This is what we work so hard for, right? And so if not now, when, right? And so it's an amazing opportunity. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. Is there a place that calls you to want to do something else? And so I've been leveraging speaking engagements and podcasts and keynotes to share my story and share my experience because I know there's other people out there like me who are trying to figure it out. They might not know what that means for them, but I'm here to tell you, if you really have a calling and if there's something you're passionate about, you can absolutely do more than one thing and build a portfolio career all at the same time.
So that's the episode. I'm going to go home now. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. There's so many things that I wrote down. I want to say a big congratulations for everything that you've achieved. Portfolio careers, not everybody talks about their skill set and how it's transferable and you can do multiple different things in your life. I'm the same. I was always told that it was one job, corporate job. When I moved to London, I came here and I went straight into corporate for a number of years and then decided to launch my own business. Never thought any of that was possible. So I think it's fantastic that you're talking about it, because for the young listeners and for the listeners on their way and possibly pivoting and transitioning into the next phase of life, I think it's really important that they understand that you can, especially now in the age of AI and digital transformation, now more so than ever, look at your skill set. I really loved what you mentioned about translating within the roles that you had, whether it be marketing or more on the technology side. You didn't necessarily have to know everything, but it's the way that you communicate, it's the way that you translate that to the business side.
It's so true. And it's amazing how transferable your skills are. I find my corporate experience is super helpful to do things like this. Can you think on your feet? Can you answer a question you weren't really ready for? The other part I didn't even share is that for 8 years, I've sang in a classic rock band a couple times a month on the weekend,
Wow.
right? So there's nothing more humbling than standing in front of a room full of people with a band, and the band is going this way and you're going this way, and you got to figure out how to bring it back together, right? And so it's no different than your day job. It's no different than starting something new. Can you leverage all of your skills and all of the things you've learned and all of your experiences to apply it to the new thing you're doing? When you're authentically you and showing up, you'd be amazed at how seamless it can be. It really can be, and gives you courage to do new things you've never done.
Absolutely. And I wanted to touch on the point you mentioned about identity surrounding your job and actually looking inward. Again, we don't talk about that enough. Who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose? What's my mission? I think it's also a really important point that you made. You're proud of your job, and actually you're proud of that part of your identity, because we spend a lot of our time at work, spend a lot of our time around our team. We've got to enjoy it, and it does have to become a part of us in a way in order for it to be fulfilling and to satisfy us. But it's also taking that step back and then learning, okay, this is what I want now. This is who I am. Doing that self-reflection.
Yeah, absolutely. I often say to my team, and my partners and peers, we get paid the same amount of money to be upset and stressed as we do to make it feel easy. And so they don't pay you more when you're upset, when you're aggravated, when you're worried about something, right? You get paid the same amount. And so why wouldn't you give yourself the grace to say, I am going to figure this out. What would I do if this was easy today? I read that in one of these books. I go through books voraciously. So that really spoke to me this week. What would you do if today was going to be easy? How would you show up differently? How much more calm would you be? I think it's a tremendous opportunity because we get to choose every day, believe it or not, how you approach the day. Are you going to choose that it's easy and you're in the flow? Or are you going to choose that it's hard? Because whichever you choose before you put your feet on the floor, I promise you, you'll see more of it. And so I know it's a practice. I do it every single day. It's not something, some days it comes easier than others, right? But when you make that mental shift, you'd be amazed at how things happen and how you can just preserve your energy and sort of protect your mindset, most importantly.
I was talking to one of my guests a couple of weeks ago about breath work, and I do a lot of Kundalini yoga and meditations. That really helps me to get into the flow of life. Just the little
Absolutely.
things.
It is such a great opportunity. I remember when I started meditation, I don't think I could get through 2 minutes, Alexandra. I don't think and there's a
Yeah.
ton of apps out there, right? Like there's a ton of free apps where you could do meditation for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just work yourself up to, what is comfortable. But I find, especially doing it first thing in the morning or before you go to sleep, I know it helps me go to sleep. I'm grateful. My daughter in college, she's even found meditation can help when she's stressed or anxious about what's going on with classes or tests. It's a powerful tool. It took me a long time to find it, but it absolutely does work and helps.
I can't remember what the exact statistic is, but when you wake up, I think the first 30 to 60 seconds, that's when you're really absorbing your environment. So depending on your thoughts and that environment, that can really impact your day. And I didn't know that for a long time. And now the first thing I do when I wake up is there's a 10-minute YouTube video, which is just affirmations. It just reels off affirmations for 10 minutes and I put my headphones in straight away. Not sure how healthy that is,
I
but
love that though.
as soon
Yes.
as I'm awake, headphones are in for 10 minutes and I fall back asleep. I don't stay awake. I fall back asleep and then my alarm goes off again. But that 10 minutes, that is what I'm absorbing.
It's really smart. I find, and for me included, right? I find the challenges we see in our day or the things we worry about are usually things that we've made up between these two ears. And so your thoughts and your words have significant power over like how your day plays out and how you're building the next thing in your life, right? And so the interesting thing that I learned not too long ago is your brain doesn't know the difference, whether it's real or whether it's not. And so
Yeah.
I am going to take that tip and start doing that as well and finding like affirmations I can do before I even, open my eyes literally in the
Yeah.
morning because your brain doesn't know. So if you're telling it good things, it's going to believe it. And on
And
the
I
flip
also,
side, if you're telling it bad things, it's going to believe it.
and I also listen to sound waves in the evening, just as I'm about to go to sleep. Again, headphones go in, and for about 30 to 40 minutes, I normally fall asleep again. I'm
Yeah.
quite tired at the minute, but the sound waves, they just trigger something in my brain and it calms me down. It's finding what works for you. There are tons of YouTube videos, tutorials that you can watch and figure it out. So for the listeners, I would recommend getting into some type of flow, some kind of routine that helps you because life's tough. And
Yeah.
back on your point of your brain doesn't know the difference. I was reading the news the other day and it was talking about younger generations, TikTok and social media. They're now believing a lot of the content they see is reality. So it's completely distorting the way we view the world. And that's scary.
Yes, it really is. I mean, you see all these things that people post and it's all these wonderful things and, you
AI,
do the comparison. Yeah, the AI, you're doing the comparison of yourself to somebody else, yourself to somebody else's world. I grew up in the generation, there were no phones. All you knew is who you saw within your day. And that was really it, right? And so it's really important to kind of ground yourself in what feels right to you, what's aligned to you. It's funny, I was talking to my sister this morning about a business opportunity that she has going on. And I said, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. I go, you and I know that
yeah.
is like the most important thing. How does it feel? How does it feel in your gut? Can you learn to trust your gut? Can you learn to trust like your inner voice, most importantly?
When it comes to business, it's not always about the money. It is to a certain extent. We all want to monetize. We've got mortgages and we've got bills to pay. We get it. But as you say, that gut feeling, trusting your instinct when you're in that business meeting or whether it's virtually or in person, what is the conversation looking like? Is there a back and forth? Is there rapport? Is it just transactional? Because sometimes, yes, that's beneficial in the beginning if you need that. But over time, that relationship, it starts from the beginning. And it's a really important point you made there.
So true. So true.
Mm. Going back on leadership, how do you think it's changed from the beginning of your career through to now, the different roles that you've had and worked your way up? It's influenced you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say leading like this in front of a screen is very different than leading in a room full of people or leading in an environment where somebody's coming into your office or you run into somebody in the cafeteria. I mean, those were my days, right? Like you run into people in the hall or at the elevator and be like,
Or the water cooler.
yes, the water cooler. Can I get 5 minutes with you later? Yeah, sure. That doesn't exist anymore.
Mm, but they're trying to recreate that. I'm sure there's a conference. I think it's in the US and it's not called the water cooler conference, but they're trying to recreate that dynamic because they know how important it is for conversation.
It's true. We have Slack channels at 3Flow that are called water cooler. And there's like a water cooler for music and a water cooler for parents and a water cooler for AI for like,
I
what are
love
you learning
that.
with AI today? Right. And so that is an amazing opportunity. I find what's most powerful because someone asked me a couple weeks ago, well, how do you connect with people? Because you're not doing it in person anymore. And I said, there's this funny thing called a phone. And so I try hard, or even via Slack, I will leave an audio message for somebody because when they can hear your voice, It resonates differently. I will proactively try to just set up 15 minutes with somebody to check in and see how they are. If you're in my cell phone, like that's great because I can text you, I can send you audio messages. I mean, there's some people that we have a banter back and forth on Instagram on sending each other different posts and laughing about certain things. And so wherever you can find that connection with people, I think it's really powerful. Finding those opportunities to connect with people where it is outside of the day to day, because the day to day is like this. This is how we do everything in so many different types of roles now. And so finding that personal connection with people and a way to just let them know you're thinking of them, letting them know that you're here to listen if there's anything that is on their mind, good or bad, is really powerful.
Mm, absolutely. It must be so different being online, being in those Slack channels, but also social media. Everybody's building their micro communities on LinkedIn, Instagram, and focusing on the digital element. It can be hard to navigate. And I think for me, I love in person. I love live events. I like to be around people and have those types of conversations. That's my biggest form of inspiration.
I agree. We call it, are we getting together IRL? Are we getting together in real life?
I
Right?
say the
There's
same.
never,
Yeah.
yeah, it's always wonderful when we get to do that.
I love that. And thinking about human connection again, what are your thoughts about where we're going? I think future. I always ask guests on the podcast, where are we going in terms of the future? We've got AI, we've got digital transformation. I focus heavily on human ROI and how can we bring people together now more than
Yeah,
ever.
I think AI is phenomenal. I mean, I am actively trying to figure out how to leverage it every single day. There's not a day where I'm not trying to Claude my way through something. I say all the time, but you know what Claude doesn't replace? It doesn't replace human interaction. It doesn't replace relationships, and it doesn't replace people feeling seen. So much of business, so much of someone's career is around what relationships do you have and where can you align with people and partner. I often will say to people when they're looking for a job, LinkedIn's nice, but your network is far more important. Can you network your way through more people knowing what you're looking for, knowing that you're looking for your next role so they think of you when they see something and they say something to you. I'm a big believer in the power of your network will continue to be something that's super valuable in helping you navigate the next phase of whatever you're doing. Like I have two college students. I am thrilled to see that they both finally have LinkedIn accounts. When I was in college, the internet was new. I was logging into my AOL account in a computer center. Think of it this way, like AI is the new internet. Our grandparents will know how to use it ultimately one day. My father he's 80 years old. Maybe he'll chat GPT his way through something at some point. It's going to be commonplace sooner than later. And so I think the power is in how can you leverage that to continue to help you to grow as an individual, help you grow in your mindset, give you new skills. And most importantly, the power of human connection doesn't translate as easily digitally. Yes, I do think there's amazing power to networking with people you've never met on LinkedIn or on social media, which is great. But when you can have a conversation and meet in real life or swap audio messages, you'd be amazed at how much deeper that connection can be.
I couldn't agree more. This year, and I don't know whether it's because I'm focusing so much on human as well, but it's just everywhere. Big theme is human touch. Pope Francis recently was talking about AI, but again, he was saying, please don't lose the humanness. The way technology is going, we're all using it to optimize and automate, and we're embracing it, which is fantastic. We don't want to be left behind. But at the same time, human to human, this is it. We're not going to be extinct tomorrow or next week or next year or in the next lifetime. So we have to collaborate and come together. And I think that's a really important point, collaboration.
Yeah, correct. I said to my team yesterday, I said, it's really important to help people figure out how to use these tools and not leave them sitting in a silo by themselves. Make sure they know they're seen and motivation, vision for the future. Just like any other change in life, you've got to help yourself and others move through this change curve. I said very openly on my directs team call yesterday, there's some days I want to throw this laptop through the window. And other days I just want to cry because I can't figure out how to do the thing I needed to do. And I don't know what prompt to give it. And I'm like ready to just like throw my hands up. But it's important other people know that they're not alone. When you can meet people where they are, and then there's some people out there, they're like, yeah, I haven't even gotten into that yet. That's totally fine. Remember, people have been built careers for decades without AI. Figuring out, I equate it to, like I said, the internet. You've got to figure out how to use it as a person in your life, how to use it in your day job, how to help your team use it, and then how to build it as part of your strategy for your business. That's not easy. That's a lot all at the same time. Giving yourself and your team grace to figure it out and grace to know we don't have it all figured out right now. We're all learning. We're all trying to figure it out. I think that helps with the humanness of it all and the humanness with the transformation.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of autonomy. Not everyone's embracing it. When we talk about job losses and redundancies, I don't want to adopt AI for absolutely everything because I can do a lot of my tasking without it. So there are groups of individuals who would rather wait a little bit longer to see, well, is this beneficial for me in the long run? Because there are companies, again, startups who are just plowing money into building these LLMs. And actually, in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be another big shift. And we don't know what that is yet.
And it goes really fast. 6 months ago, we weren't having these conversations at all. I mean, last October, AI was something we were thinking about doing. Now it's the entire company is tasked with building it into your daily practice. Very different shift. And to your point, it will multiply a lot faster than I think we can even appreciate. We haven't seen it in our lifetimes, other than maybe the iPhone. Every year gets better and better and better, but that was still like on a year basis. This will move faster than you'll figure out how to use it for what to use it for in ways that make sense for you.
Ways that make sense for you. I mean, for me, with the podcast, I use AIs, but I still do my due diligence. And I've always made that point really clear. You've got to be doing your own checks, making sure that the content you're putting out there, the reports that you're writing, the emails that you're sending, you've still got to do your checks. You just can't be reliant on technology because you said 6 months ago, we weren't having these conversations. Just give yourself grace and take time.
Exactly.
Love the point that you made about allowing your team to be seen and heard. This is something that I try and focus on, especially with the younger generations now, Gen Z. In the workplace, they have a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, and they do need a space to explore and to experiment.
Absolutely. Agree. We all wear an invisible sign around our neck that says, I want to feel important today. Who can I help make people feel seen, heard, and know that I value them and that they're important?
Do you feel that you were always seen and heard? If I take myself, for example, in cybersecurity, I did always feel seen and heard. I worked with a small company, 20 of us. I was given training. I was thrown into the deep end, as you always are, but I always felt appreciated, and that's always carried me through into my roles after that.
Absolutely. I've worked for some amazing leaders who taught me well, who taught me practices that I now continue to leverage in my leadership. My goal now is to be that leader for somebody else. Can I show somebody else on my team how to lead? Can I help them get out of their own way? Can I be there when they need an ear, when it's hard? Can I be there to celebrate their success? Can I lift them up and help elevate them to the next role or to something else, even if it's not with me? Can I promote somebody into that next season of their life? Because there were so many people who helped make that true for me. And I am eternally grateful for that. And so now, especially in my 9 to 5, I mean, even with Live Pure, there's nothing I love more than to see other people succeed. I always say I take my light as a leader and shine it on somebody else so they can see their light. What Live Pure is really about is a cleanse, balance, and build philosophy around your gut health. You can really dramatically change your health. We have over 80 products. We have something for everyone from just a science perspective, tremendously powerful and important. And I'm a big believer. I've taken these products for 9 years. I know I feel better today than I did 15 years ago. So that is a critical part of that. People might want to check out the products and see if that might be something they want to look into. The second piece of this around the additional income stream is huge. It's an incredible opportunity to share this message with other people and help them build that income stream for the future. And in addition to that, this is an incredible group of people. It is an amazing community. I'm excited too that we are leaning into, and within the next 30 days, we'll be launching in the UK. We'll be launching in Portugal for the first time, which is exciting because up until this time, we've been primarily in the US and a handful of other countries. It's our first real entry into Europe, which I'm super excited about as well. And so it's going to be available for a lot more people out there. When I first started making money, I had no idea what I was doing. There's an amazing training, which they literally spoon feed you words to say and how to share this, how I would ask you to come take a look at this with me. Well, there's 8 different ways we earn money every single week.
And in terms of launching in the UK, will this be physical products in the store, or again, is this online?
It will be online. We are initially setting it up to ship from the US to the UK to get us started for a subset of our products. Over time, I don't know, TBD, over time, they will create a distribution center in Europe. So it'll be even faster to get the products delivered to you. But we're really excited to get this going. Within the next 30 days, it will be live and up and running. And, if people are interested in hearing more, they can always contact me.
Absolutely. Coming back down again, as I say, to strategies and recommendations, we've spoken about so much in terms of your careers, portfolio, AI, leadership, looking at your identity, finding what that actually means to you as a person as you go on to the next phase of life. So is there anything you would like to say to listeners right now? Because you also have your books, and I know that you might want to touch on that.
Yeah. So I wrote 2 books. The first one's called Just Lead, which is the things that what your boss doesn't tell you, but your experience will. It's the things you learn along the way. The second one is called Find the Right Now Role, which was really my journey from the moment I was delivered the message that I'd be losing my job all the way through getting my next job at 3Flow in the first 30, 60 days in, and all of the things that no one tells you about. It's sort of like parenthood. No one teaches you how to leave a job gracefully. Your head held high. How do you plan? How do you make a job out of looking for a job without driving yourself crazy? All
I
those
love
types
that.
of give so many tips on that. And often people will say to me, oh gosh, I lost my job. I'm buying your book. And I'm like, well, I hope it helps because so much of it is things that people don't talk about, so much. And it reads like a coffee table book. It's a really easy read, both of them. Both are available on Amazon, and big part of my life and my heart went into those along my journey. I just would say to people, if you're unsure about what's next, if you're unsure about whether or not where you are is where you belong, I always start by saying you're where you are for a reason. This is supposed to be part of your journey. So gain whatever knowledge or experience it is that you're there, but then think about what feels in better alignment for you. What are the things that feel in better alignment, the things that inspire and motivate you, and lean into them. There's space to do more than one thing. You absolutely can do more than one thing. And it truly is always working out for you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. So if you can show up with that mindset every day, it's really powerful and it can really, really help you build the life that you dream of.
I think especially when you're job hunting, like I say, not wanting to talk too much about the redundancies, but there's a lot of them happening. I saw somebody post on LinkedIn that in terms of treating their job search as a full-time role, it didn't take up as many hours as they thought it would. I mean, they're looking for a job. Maybe they spend 3 or 4 hours of the day. So they joined a poker club. It's a new community. They meet every Friday. And he said that it gave him a bit of a new lease of life, a sense of self-worth in a way whilst he's going through this process. Going right back to that humanness and finding people around you. Don't be afraid to reach out. Uncertain times at the minute. And if you can, look at your network. Is there anybody there?
It really matters. I also think it's really powerful while you're looking for a job to be doing something else. I did part-time fractional work with a consulting company for 10 hours a week. I really didn't want to do that full time. This is something that I can do. It also makes you interesting. When you have an interview and people say, so like, what are you doing? I mean, they don't normally say that. So you ended your role here on this date. You have something else to talk about. So even if the gentleman you said he's talking about his poker club, that's exciting. Something
Yeah.
different, something to add to the conversation. Figure out how to weave in. What is it teaching you about the job search process? Tell me how me being in a poker club helps me with my career search. Go. And I'm sure in 3 minutes, ChatGPT would give you a great answer. That would be funny, a great way to leverage AI, using some of that, but having something interesting that makes you interesting to talk with, I think is also important. Pick something because it doesn't take 8 hours a day to look for a new job. It definitely doesn't.
There are a couple of entrepreneurs that I listen to on the podcast as well, and they offer advice to business owners. And one business owner, she teaches crafters, which is how to make stickers. I thought it was fascinating. I'd never even heard of a business being centered around helping people to make stickers, but if it resonates, it resonates. She's doing really well.
That is amazing.
It is what it is. You've got to find something that keeps you going, find a hobby that really lifts you up in a way. It could be anything.
So true. I love it. That's great.
We've spoken a lot today about leadership, portfolio careers, your journey. Is there anything the listeners should know about you that maybe they don't know yet? Over to you.
I would say for anyone who is a parent, so I'm a parent of 2 college students, it is one of the best practice grounds for just about everything in your leadership. The rules are similar, but not. It is probably, I know for me, my most rewarding and challenging job to be a mother. And I think it's something that we're all trying to figure out. We're all trying to do a better job at it. I do think that there's so much opportunity to practice some of the things you're developing as a leader with your family, with your children. It's something for me, I always say it's practice, 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 because what you can't always control is how someone on the other side responds. So for me, that is another way and just another tip on ways you can leverage some of this practice and some of this mindset work that we talked about. It's fun and frustrating sometimes all at the same time, but I do enjoy it.
I did have a guest come on a few months ago, and his name's James, and he has his own business. Sometimes he will ask his children for advice, and he'll say, what do you think of this? And they'll give their opinion, and it's completely unfiltered. It's another perspective.
Absolutely. And the amazing thing about your children is there's nothing filtered about it, right? So they will sometimes see things in me that I'm not seeing. Mom, you're not that happy. Or mom, this looks hard. Or mom, it's an amazing reflection back of things that you might be blind to.
Good or bad, maybe room for improvement or areas, like you say, that you maybe need to pay more attention to. If you're not happy, maybe I'm not as happy as I portray I am, so I need to figure that out.
Yes, absolutely.
So interesting. And obviously children will tell you, definitely, which is, I think it's a good thing. Because sometimes we get into the weeds of it, and I don't know why, but as we grow older, we tend not to tell each other what we really think and how we really feel, for whatever reason that is.
Yes, it's so true. Before they hit that point where they're starting to filter everything they say, it is a beautiful reflection that you can see in a way, like I said, of things you might not be looking at, which is amazing.
Absolutely. I think we've come to the end of this episode. Jennifer, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. That's Jennifer joining us from the US, New Jersey, talking about portfolio careers, leadership. We've offered some fantastic strategies on how you can lead better teams, doing that inner work, thinking about your identity and where you're moving towards, but not being afraid to embrace AI and digital transformation, who you are and your skills that you have. I want to say a big thank you for joining me today. Any last words for the listeners?
Just remember, you, like I said, you are where you belong, and it's all working out for you. It truly is.
Thank you very much. And I will speak to you all very, very soon.